Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Dr. Marlene Batista.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here on a Saturday morning. You guys are just troopers here. My name is Marlene Batista. I am the Director of State and Legislative Affairs for CABE Board. It's my pleasure to introduce our featured speaker for this session, Juan Terrazas from Scholar Systems. At 5-year-old, Juan's parents migrated from Ciudad Juarez to Dallas, Texas, and at age 14, his father was deported to Mexico, and his mother returned to care for her dying father. Juan decided to stay in Dallas because he realized the importance of obtaining an education. Living in an unstable life in the inner city of Dallas, Juan was determined to graduate high school and overcome his obstacles. After graduating from high school, he received his associate's degree from El Centro Community College, volunteered for Youth with a Mission Mentoring Youth, and published his first book, Left in America, in which he shares his journey as an undocumented immigrant. Today, he works at the PATH Project, which provides opportunities to mentor the youth in trailer park homes, guiding their academic and spiritual growth. Please join me in welcoming Juan Terrazas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking at all the words and everybody just put in some great words. Hopeful. Hopeful is one of the words that I held on to growing up. And that's what we need. We need hope in life. I like that. Sarah, he said alive. Alive is pretty good. I like that word a lot. And yeah, you guys have all said great words. So yes, my name is Juan Terrazas. I'm excited to be here to be able to present and share with you guys my story and just my journey in life and the challenges, obstacles that I had to overcome. And as I share with you, I hope that you feel empowered and equipped also to be able to help others that like people that have invested in my life, because you guys also have opportunities to invest in other people's lives as well. And now as I share, I want you guys to think about this phrase, what if? Now that's a 2-word phrase, what if? And I had a friend of mine several years ago share that phrase with me. And I remember I just kept thinking about it, pondering on it over and over again. And if I'm honest, the older that we become, it's easier to think about that phrase in a regretful way. And we start thinking about, what if I had done this? What if I had done that? And we settle ourselves for a pity party. But I want you to kind of shift your mindset and start thinking about what if in a way, in future possibilities. Now, what if I can make an impact? What if I can make a change? What if I had so much more living on the inside of me that can alter someone's life for the better, for the good? So I'm no stranger to difficulty, and I know many of you aren't either. And there's a lot of people that face difficulty on a daily basis. I was 14 years old. My father was deported when at that age. I lived in Dallas, Texas. My mom had to go back to take care of her dying father. And I was left with a cousin of mine and her boyfriend, but that didn't last long. My cousin's boyfriend ended up kicking me out by the time I was 15 years old. So I remember asking him why he was kicking me out. And the fact that he kicked me out wasn't what really hurt me or what affected me, but knowing that the very words that he said to me, he was like, I just don't like you. So those very words are really cut me the most. I remember just walking out of the apartment, just having various emotions. I was angry, I was confused, I felt abandoned. I mean, if you named it, I probably felt it. And I remember just walking down this back alley and just thinking and literally just praying. I'm like, God, what am I supposed to do? I'm 15 years old, I just got kicked out, and I don't know where I'm gonna go. So from that moment on, I just started house hopping. I started going from place to place, jumping from a friend's house to a family member's house, living in a couple of church ministries. And I was really just living wherever I could. I wanted, I didn't have, sometimes I didn't have food to eat. I struggled a lot. But through the struggle, I made a commitment to myself. I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to my family. And I said that I was going to graduate high school and I was going to continue with the higher education, because I realized that one of the most important things that I can do was to get educated. And that would be the only way for me to get out of the situation I was in and to be able to support my family, help them out as well. So as determined I was, I just kept going to school. No matter if I lived across town, I caught the bus every morning. And I just kept going. I didn't want to stop. There were plenty of times that I just felt like giving up. I wondered if it was worth it. I wondered if anybody cared for me. I wondered if I was ever going to amount to anything, or if I even had hope for a future. And by 2008, I graduated on time from North Dallas High School in Dallas, Texas. I kept that promise that I made to my family, kept that promise that I made to myself. And then I did go on to get my associate's degree from a Central Community College. And it's been a hard road. It's been a tough fight, but I couldn't have done it all by myself. I know that there's people that pushed me. Just before we came on the presentation, we were just talking about having a support group, having people to uplift you. And that's really one of the most important things that I've had in my life, was having people that could push me to become better. There's a quote that I like to quote. I don't remember exactly who it's from, but it says that if I can see further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. And I just think that we all can be giants for other people as well, because we've been through certain things, that we can be their giants and we can have those shoulders that they can stand on. So if I can go back and talk to that 15-year-old boy that was kicked out walking down that back alley, I would tell him, hey, just keep going. Don't give up. Don't quit. You don't know exactly what you will be capable of. You have so much more living on the inside of you. You have greatness inside of you. So what if in 2012, I met a couple from the church I was going to at that time. They took me out to lunch. I shared my story with them. And a couple weeks later, they came back to me and they just said, hey, we can't get this story out of our head. We want to help you write your story and put it in a book. And I was like, awesome, fantastic. That I thought it was a great idea. So we got to roll in, and we put work into it. I had to go through dig up a lot of wounds, old hurts, and even find out more things of my parents' story on their side of the story. So my book, Left in America, is available for you guys. If you're interested in purchasing it, you can find it on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. I became a citizen. I came from being undocumented as a 5-year-old, having basically no documentation, to becoming a citizen last year in January 6, 2020, which was a long, tough process, but I'm excited to finally have achieved it. So what seemed impossible became the possible. And it's all because of just continuing, pressing through. Last year, I was awarded this award by the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I live in Georgia now, and this is, I was excited, and I wasn't looking for an award, but this just helps me and reminds me of all the fight that I had to put in to get to where I'm at today. And I finished my last course for my bachelor's degree this past December, and it's been a long road to get to this point. But I graduated from the University of Texas of the Permian Basin with a bachelor's degree in communication and a minor in psychology. And last year, my wife and I had our first child. That's my son there with a big smile, and my wife is there. And they're one of the biggest supporters. And I'm really thankful for a great family that I have. Now, this is my family. This was in 2015. I was 25 at that time. I'm 30 right now. I was 25. And imagine going 11 years without being able to see your parents. That was a long time. 11 years without being able to hold, touch, feel my parents. And the moment we got to see each other, it was an emotional moment. But I'm grateful for that. And ever since 2015, I've been able to see my parents multiple times. And I'm able to make up for lost time with them. So it's great. I'm blessed to be able to be there. Now, as Dr. Batista mentioned, I work for this organization called the PATH Project. And the PATH Project is located in Georgia, where we have several locations in Atlanta and one in Tennessee. And now with the PATH Project, we work together along with the park owners. We work in trailer parks And we really can't be in the trailer parks unless the park owners give us permission. So we work with the park owners. We also work with the parents because it's important to connect with the parents. If we could gain the parents' trust to connect with their children, then that's really the key to impacting the children's lives. And we also work with local businesses, local nonprofits, and also with the schools and churches. And we provide academic guidance, tutoring, connecting with teachers, connecting with the schools to see how we can best serve those students. And something I'm also a part of this organization called the Scholar System. And at the Scholar System, we don't like calling children at risk because labeling them in a certain way, it's easy to see them as troubling teens or troubling children. But when you name them at promise, you start realizing that they have potential, that they have that there's possibilities for them to be able to become anything that they want to be. So we work with a lot of at promise students here at the PATH project, guiding them through academically, also wanting to teach them how to interact socially with other students their age, also volunteers and their families, helping them build social emotional health, and also spiritual relief. We provide spiritual guidance for the children, Bible scriptures, life lessons. And here are a couple pictures of the children that we connect with. We partner up with a local nonprofit called Upper 90, and a lot of our students also, they love soccer. If you could just take a soccer ball to the neighborhood, they'll be your best friend. That's all they really want to do most of the time, is just play soccer. We've been able to take a couple of the teenagers to some conferences down here at the Latin American Association. And this right here is just a program impact, the previous one that was done from 2019. And I like to brag about the organization I work for, but when I see this more than just the impact a program is having. I see this as the impact that people are having, because programs cannot happen without people. And so it's all about the positive relationships. It's about the exposure that you give the children. So 88% of the students that come to the PATH project have good attendance. 91% are passing their reading courses, 94 are passing their math courses, and 95 are having good behavior. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we have 8 total locations, 7 in Atlanta and 1 in Tennessee. And we have just great staff, people who are passionate at their work and wanting to impact the children that they work with. So now, as an educator and as an administrator, you probably thought that you just signed up to become a math teacher, a science teacher, or an English teacher. Well, really, you signed up to be an influencer. You signed up to make an impact in students' lives, because the impact, the things that you do and the words that you say can have a lasting impact. So I like to give tips on in a way, kind of self-care. And so these are like 4 steps that kind of work their way to caring for the teenagers, the students that we work with or that you will work with. If you've ever traveled, then you most likely have listened to the flight attendants give the instructions. And when the mask comes down, they say, if the mask ever comes down and it's needed, you need to put it on yourself so you can breathe, and then worry about the person that's next to you. I think this is the same thing for us as well, as adults, as mentors, educators, because if we're not healthy, if we're not keeping ourselves stable, then it's going to be hard to help other people around us. So one thing that I'm a big proponent about is encouraging yourself, even just standing in the mirror, speaking to yourself and reminding yourself that, hey, I chose this career for a reason. I chose this career because I want to make an impact. And that's sometimes it's something that you need yourself, is to encourage yourself, because other people may be encouraging you, but the person that can really bring you down or lift you up the most at times may be yourself. So I can, I must, and I will. Also, attitude of gratitude. It's scientifically proven that more people who are more grateful can cope with better adversity. They can sleep better, they're happier, they're healthier, and they're able to exhibit lower levels of stress and depression. So happy people often, have you ever heard the term hurt people hurt people? So in the same way that if you're happy, it's the atmosphere around you kind of changes everything. You know, the kids these days sometimes like to saying, I just want positive vibes. I want good vibes. So by you being happy, by you showing a gratitude, it just changes people's perspectives about you. They're like, man, I really want to be with so-and-so because they're always uplifting. So have an attitude of gratitude, be mentally healthy, and support groups. And this is something I just mentioned a while ago, having support groups. I advise to have at least like 2 or 3 people or 3 or 4 people that you can connect with, people that you can be, that you can share your issues with and they can share their issues with, so you can also find ways to problem solve. Because life is difficult if you're by yourself. Life is really difficult if you're by yourself. And so attempting to handle life on your own can be detrimental to your health. So we weren't meant to live life alone. All right, and this last one, this is where it works into working with the youth. See the world from the students' perspectives. Perception is not reality. Just because something bad happens to somebody doesn't mean that that person is bad themselves. And oftentimes, I think I've seen that in other people's views, is that because a lot of youth are in poverty or they're struggling with certain lifestyles, it may not be because they're doing anything bad to themselves. It's because something bad happened to them and they just didn't know how to get out of that. So the more that we exercise perception, looking through their eyes, trying to figure out where they're coming from and why they're struggling the way they are, you start building empathy instead of sympathizing more with them. Because sympathy says that, man, I feel for you. I feel that you're going through this. But empathy looks for a way to relate to them. Hey, I feel this with you. I feel this with you, and I know exactly what you're going through. So seeing things through their eyes. And if I can get really transparent with you guys, we work with a lot of families who are undocumented, or parents who are undocumented, or even youth who come from first generation immigrants. And they, from the previous countries they come and they deal with a lot. They have a lot on their mind. My father-in-law, he's a minister and he works with a lot of refugees and a lot of immigrants. And I'm able to meet a lot of people that he works with. A couple of years ago, I had one of the guys that he works with, his son came over and he just struggled a lot mentally. And I remember getting a phone call on Christmas morning a couple of years ago telling me that his son committed suicide. And it was one of the most terrible calls to have ever received. And I really didn't know how to respond to that. And I just think, man, what if somebody really dug deeper into that young man's life to connect with him, to see what he was going through, to empathize with him? He would still be able to have a chance. And now, I didn't mention this a while ago, but when I was growing up, I struggled with suicidal thoughts myself. I remember going down this highway thinking, man, if I jump, all this pain will be over with. But I didn't, because I knew that I had hope, I had a future. I started realizing that. And now I know a lot of people don't end up with the way that I came out, which I hope that a lot of people are able to overcome. But we have the opportunity to make an impact and to make an influence on people's lives just by the things that we do and the things that we say to them. So see things through their perspective, empathize with them, find ways to relate with them, because if they can trust you, then they will open up to you. See, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's just the truth. They don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. So how can we connect with these students? How can we help them out? So teaching students to be purpose seekers. Purpose, it's finding out what my purpose is. Now, you may not know exactly what a student's particular purpose is, but you have an opportunity of speaking life into them. We can help build social emotional learning through purpose seeking. And this is something that a lot of youth need, and they struggle with. They don't have the proper tools. They're not getting the proper social emotional health. And this is the questions that they're constantly asking. Hey, what is my purpose? Why do I exist? Why am I here? Who am I? So at the Scholar System, Dr. Rios, he's become a good friend of mine and a mentor as well. And I just think about the teacher that spoke into his life saying that he was going to go to college and he was going to graduate and he was also going to meet presidents. And that's happened to him. It's amazing just from what a teacher spoke into his life to where he's at today. And it inspires me as well. So if a teacher can speak that into Dr. Rios' life, then you can speak something into someone else's life as well. One of the middle schoolers that I work with, his name is Edwin. He's a sixth grader right now. When he was in second grade, there was a teacher. He recently came from Honduras, El Salvador at that time. When he was in second grade. And one of the teachers told him that, hey, I'm embarrassed of you, basically just talking down on him. And he was sharing this with me just a few weeks ago. And I just felt so bad for him that I had to reach out to him and I had to apologize to him for that teacher because it stuck to him. It stuck to him. So as I said earlier, the things that you do and the things that you say have lasting impact, I remember personally when I was in fourth grade, I had a teacher pull my ear from the back of the line, pulled me to the front of the line. And I didn't know I could say anything. I didn't know I could tell anybody. I just thought that the teacher was a teacher. So the teacher had the authority to do whatever that teacher wanted. And that affected me also the way I viewed teachers for a while. So, and I just want to keep emphasizing this is that the things that you do and the things that you say have a lasting impact. So what are ways that we can speak into these students' lives? So you speak life into them. You tell them that you are valuable, you have a purpose, you exist for a reason. You will make an impact in other people's lives. You're a victor, and your circumstances do not determine your life. And these are things that students need to hear. So you're here because you want to hear something that will inspire you, that will motivate you to take steps, actions, to do something. So the same thing with students, they're looking for somebody to look at them and say that, hey, you are somebody that's special. You are somebody that can make an impact in other people's lives. You're valuable. You are needed. Now, one thing I like this quote right here from Lady Bird Johnson. This is President Lyndon B. Johnson's wife. She said that children are likely to live up to what you believe them to be. My wife and I have this quote in our refrigerator, and I look at that on a daily basis. And I think about that because I have my son now. And I'm just thinking about what are the things that I want to speak into my son's life so that whenever he grows up, I can see the reflection of what he's become because of the things that I've spoken into his life. So children are likely to live up to what you believe them to be. Now, I'm not sure if you ever had the success formula, but I want to give you the success formula. This is something I love to teach. I love telling people about the success formula. So events, things that happen, plus responses equals outcome. So in my life personally, the events that happened were my dad being deported, me being kicked out, abandoned, house hopping, going from place to place. The responses, the actions that I took were to continue going to school, to continue fighting, connecting with people, building relationships. To the outcome is where I'm here today speaking to you and sharing with you. So events, responses, and outcomes. And this is something that I believe a lot of our youth need to learn and they need to be taught. And a lot of this is just repetition over and over again. My son now, he just turned 1 year old not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. And he's able to do a couple of things now, and it's all because of repetition, because we continue to introduce some things, some activities to him. And it's just repetition, continue to invest this into them. So events, responses equals outcome. So I don't control the events, but I do control my responses. So all this is to build resiliency into other people's lives, into the students' lives, building resiliency. You want to foster that into them. And these are the seven C's. This were proposed by Dr. Ginsburg. He's a child pediatrician and a human development expert. The seven C's. So the first one's competence, is the ability to handle stressful situations effectively. It's teaching them how to be effective in the way that they handle situations. Confidence is the belief in one's own abilities and is rooted in competence. And this is something that a lot of youth struggle with. And I talked to this to some of my youth about too, is building confidence. What are activities, what are things that we can do to build confidence in them? Earlier this year, we did this activity where we had a couple blocks and we had to carve out a word that we wanted to reflect on our lives this year. And one of the boys wrote confidence. And that's something that he's been working on, because he's like, man, I'm not confident about a lot of things. And so that gives me an ability to keep him accountable. So almost every week I see him, I'm like, hey, are you being confident? What are things that can help you be confident? Is helping them see that they have more abilities than what they think. So also connection. Children with close ties to friends, families, and community groups. These are what help us become stronger and secure, and we have a sense of belonging and having those connections. So as I mentioned earlier at the PAC project, we have those social interactions because we want them to interact, and we want them to know that there are healthy ways to handle a certain situation and to connect with people and not just lashing out in anger or so. And also building character. Character is really essential. It builds self-worth within them. Contribution. If children can experience personally contributing to the world, this is what can help them feel valuable, because they were a part of something. I was privileged to volunteer in several places growing up, and through those opportunities to contribute through volunteering gave me vision, gave me thoughts, gave me hope of things that I can invest in my life, so that I can become something better. So contribution, also coping mechanisms, teaching them how to have social skills, how to deal with stress, how to be able to better cope with stressful situations, how to overcome lifestyles, teaching them positive coping mechanisms. Also teaching the kids how to control their, knowing that their decisions and their actions, they can have control over them. One thing I like telling children are that there's two ways to respond. So basically react and respond. So reaction is just a quick, like, you don't have a quick a process, a proper process of the way that you of when something happens. Like, let's say if I had a bee come to me, I'm just gonna react and I'm gonna swat it away, but the bee's gonna come and try to sting me because I swatted it away. But if I'm responding, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do if that bee comes to me, and I'm thinking ahead. So teaching them that they can have control over their decisions. Someone else doesn't make them do something. So when some of the students that I work with, if somebody does something that affects another one, and then the other student comes and reacts in a negative way, one thing I like to do is just tell them, hey, did he make you do that, or did you do that by yourself? And just getting them think a little deeper about it. So competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. And one of the things I think is really valuable is exposure. It's exposing them to new things. And these are a few things that I think they can be exposed to. Chess, something simple as chess. Some of you might love chess. This game changed my life. I cannot emphasize that enough. Chess, my senior year in high school, I started playing chess. I used to think that it was, honestly, it was for geeks. I thought it was for nerdy kids. But I remember after finishing football season my senior year, I didn't know what to do anymore because at this point I was still house hopping, and I didn't want to get home wherever I lived at that time. I just wanted to get home as late as I could to wake up the next day, leave, and then do it all over again the next day. So my English senior year English teacher opened up a chess club, and I just decided to join because friends of mine were joining and just playing. So I just went there just for the community. And the more that I got to play the game, it taught me that life is the same way. Chess teaches you about making decisions ahead of time. The moment that really changed my life the most was when I played my teacher, because I thought he was the smartest person ever, Mr. Morden. I thought he was the smartest person ever. He took time just to teach me and to play with me. And the first time that I beat him, I was just like blown away. I was like, this is insane. I started realizing that, hey, Mr. Morden is the smartest person that I can think about. If he gets cut and he bleeds red. If I get cut and I bleed red. So why there is there anything different between him and me? And I was like, no, there really isn't. I can be as smart as him. So chess, I mean, yeah, like I said, chess, I'm really big on it. I like to teach this to the students I work with. Also, team building activities, having activities that help them connect with other students, serving opportunities. As I said earlier, volunteering, going to places, giving some time up, help students know what are some things that they are gifted in, some things that they are skilled in, and some things that they don't like. I've been able to serve in places where I'm like, I don't think I like X, Y, and Z, but I like this over here. So also create a vision board. I think giving them hope, giving them a fighting chance, creating vision for these students, because when they come from different countries, they come from war torn countries, or even just violence, they feel hopeless. That's why a while ago I called out the word hopeful, because there's just a lot of hopelessness going on sometimes. That if you give them hope, something to dream about, something to believe in, then they will have something to aim for. So there's another quote that I like is I think it's from Wayne Gretzky. He was a hockey player. He says that every shot not taken is a missed opportunity. So give them hope, and also opportunities to speak up. Opportunities to speak up. A lot of students don't know that they can actually speak up. And like I mentioned just a while ago, when my fourth grade teacher, I didn't know that I can actually speak up and I could tell somebody of what he had did to me. Pulled my ear from the back of the line to take me to the front of the line because he was frustrated with me. So that it's important to give them a voice, to let them know that, hey, you are valuable in what you say. I used to go to a men's group when I was 18 years old. I was like 18 years old. Everybody was about 30 and older. And I remember one specific morning, I was just sitting there with my hoodie up and I was just listening. But one of the men looked into my eyes and he was like, hey, Juan, you need to move that hoodie off your head and I need you to sit up and I need you to speak up. Because what you have to say is valuable for this group, and we don't want to miss out on that. And so he challenged me. He challenged me to speak up, and so I spoke up, and it gave me opportunity. It made me feel valuable because I was around men that even though they were older than me, they didn't look down on me, but they brought me up to their level. They brought me up to their level. So also writing activities. I remember my sophomore year in high school, my English teacher used to give us activities once we came into the class to just write, just free write. She said, if you don't want me to read it, just put at the top, do not read. But I just want you to write out your emotions, write out your feelings. Even if you don't know what to write at the moment, just say, I don't know what to write, and just write anything. So I started doing that. I started just writing. Even after I graduated high school, I just did that. I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I realized that it was freeing. It was an opportunity for me to actually see something on paper that I didn't have to hold in on the inside of me anymore. I can actually see it and look at it and notice if it was a lie that I was believing. So writing activities. So, and also just exposing kids to resources, exposing them to things that are outside in the communities. I had a couple of community center outreach centers that came to my neighborhood that reached out to me that taught me several things, that taught me about life. And through those resources, I was able to develop and to basically to do what I'm able to do today. It's just by those connections. So having those resources. And all this here is just to show up. You know, I cannot emphasize this enough either. It's just to show up. Your way of showing up in a student's life might be different than mine. So at the PATH Project, we have a community center in every trailer park, in every neighborhood. We can visit the students at their homes. We can connect with their parents. We can show them that, hey, we're here. We want to walk with you. We want to support you in any way that we can. So the parents know that we're there. We have a couple of parent meetings as well in some communities, and the parents just come and they gather and they just talk about things that are going on in the neighborhood, so that we can also be informed in ways that we can be able to support them and to help them out. And it's just showing up. And like I said earlier, is that if you can show them that you care, if you can show them that you're there because you're interested in their lives, they're gonna trust you more. They're gonna trust you more. And I want to encourage you all as well. This coming May with the Scholar System, we have a CARE opening conference, and I know that you guys there in California, you're getting ready to open up if you haven't already. And it might look kind of scary for some of you, trying to figure out, man, what are we going to do? And it's just trying to figure out how to accommodate a lot of students back into the school setting. And we're going to be doing another conference in May 1st to just give you some more tips, some more advice, some more encouragement on things that you can do. I live in Georgia, so a lot of the schools over here have already opened up. And I was talking recently to the middle school that I'm in connection with directly with the students that I work with. The principal was one of the things that she emphasized the most was just relationships, building relationships. It's connecting with the students through relationships, and that's really what it takes, is getting to know them and opening up your life to them, getting into their lane to see where they're at, but not just staying in their lane, but also bringing them up to your lane so they can see how you live, so they can see who you are. So getting down to their level. So that's my presentation. I want to be able to open it up for some questions if anybody wants to ask anything.
And first of all, I'd like to thank you for being so open and really just sharing of yourself in the way that, you're telling us, to create those connections and building those relationships. I guess my question to you would be, I believe that, for a lot of us, we do these things, but how do you're part of obviously an organization that already has the structure for everyone to come together and do these things. Sometimes that's not the case, so much in schools. So how would you approach, your school to start growing, these little pockets and communities that already do exist, but so that we work together in unison and so that it grows?
Are you speaking in terms for like the teachers connecting together?
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing I would suggest is to, so you guys already connect with each other and talk, you're saying, right?
So, I teach at a high school, so there are certain departments. It's very compartmentalized at the high school level, and some departments are have a lot stronger connections. They work with parents much more, and whereas other departments see it as, oh, we're not in test with that. That's their, their work, or someone else has got that, or administrators can do that. So how do you grow? How do
Yeah,
you,
I
how would you
understand.
infuse, I guess?
So it just starts with reaching out to them. That it because it's important to work as one body. I mean, you all have different things that you're focused on, and like you said, the administrators are focused on something different, teachers focus on something different. But if I think if with at least one person starting to reach out to the other departments and just saying, hey, we're all in this together, we're supposed to work together, because if not, in a way, it's kind of self-defeating if you're still just working separate.
Mhm.
And it's like the eye can't say to the arm that, hey, I don't need you, or the leg can't say to the mouth, I don't need you, because you're all supposed to work together. So I think it just takes taking that step and reaching out, being proactive about it. And like I said a while ago, even with adults, repetition. The more that you bring it up, the more that you put it in people's faces, it's hard to not see it. So does that kind of answer your question?
I think it absolutely does. So thank you for that. I like that idea of, just repeating and repeating. I love the idea of having a vision board, not just for our students, for our kids, but also for us as adults. And thank you for sharing your story. I think also there's so much power in the sharing of stories. I think to compel, the work that needs to be done, as you said, as a body, not just as appendages, isolated appendages. So thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And I would also say that sharing your own story, also connecting with your students and letting them know where you come from, because a lot of the students they may not even think that you have a life outside of school. And if I'm honest, I didn't realize that teachers had a life outside of school till I was a sophomore in high school. I remember seeing my world geography teacher at a gas station. I was so surprised, and I was like, Mr. Harris. And I remember also seeing him in class, also falling asleep because he was so tired. He had a life outside of school that I didn't know about. So if the students don't get to know you for who you are, then they're not really going to want to connect with you. So I would say find ways to open up to them, share with them your story, share with them where you come from. Because as I said, sympathies, you're just looking from afar, saying I feel bad for you. But when you share your story, you're empathizing with them more, and you're letting them know, like, hey man, I may not have been through what you were going through, but I know what this feels like. Anybody else have anything to share?
I do. My name is Angela Baber. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I taught at a promise school. That was my first assignment. I remember going in, and they taught me so much. The biggest thing was to be nurturing. I learned you have to be nurturing. Don't assume. Listen to their story, because a lot of times if people act a certain way, we have assumptions, right? So many of these students weren't eating. They really didn't have a stable home environment. That inspired myself and another teacher. We started a nonprofit called Mastering Hope. And we feed families, we feed students, we provide what their needs are. So guess what? That strengthens students, that strengthens the family, we're strengthening the community. So when you talk about people not being on board, we took the lead. Sometimes you have to step up and take the lead. Now we have other people also doing the same thing. Now it's catching. And that's only improving and elevating that community and our students, helping them, helping those families, and we're doing better as a community.
Yes. Yeah. Taking the lead. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been awesome. I hope that you feel inspired, motivated, and equipped. And I'm excited for the lives that you're gonna impact. You may not see the fruit. You're farmers. Basically, you're planting seeds, and those seeds will grow. So just keep doing what you're doing. I'm excited for you all.
I would like to say something. I'm a mom, and I think it is important to go to the school board and talk about the undocumented students, because sometimes they don't realize how hard it is the life for them, living in one apartment with one bedroom, and then it's like 10 persons living together. So I think it is important to go and share with them some of the stories because that way give them a clear idea on what path to follow for them. Thank you for your presentation today.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna have to end this meeting so you guys can get stretched and get ready for our closing session for today. Thank you so much. It was really great, Juan. Very inspiring story. I think I speak for everyone. It was really touching. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.